Buenos tardes. Amazing afternoon. It's Bit Buddha back again with another episode of the Black and Cybersecurity Podcast. Today we have Mark Donathan Jr., a sophomore at Georgia State University, who also has a lot of experience with different internships in cyber and tech. So yeah, we were just going to be interviewing him and asking him a bit more about his experience. But I'll let him speak a bit more about himself as well.
All right, perfect. Thank you for the introduction. So, yeah, my name is Marc Donaton. I'm currently a sophomore at Georgia State University, and I'm also a current intern for State Farm doing incident response. Before
Mm.
joining college and being an intern, I have a lot of experience dating back to high school, where I was in a technical program where I was able to earn my Security Plus before graduating, do a multitude of competitions, and even land an interview with CompTIA. So, yeah, it's a
Wow.
little bit about me.
Oh wow! So the first thing I had to ask you, it's kind of a bit personal, quick question, because I'm actually studying for my CompTIA Sec Plus now. I have to like do a lot of practice exams this weekend, and then the organization with Diversity Cyber Council, they'll give me a free voucher for it, right? So what is your advice just on that? Because you're already kind of like mastered like that like realm. So what is your advice on just taking the exam and like how did you study for it?
Okay, so I'll give you a little bit of background on me. So before
Mm,
joining my STEM program senior year, like I wasn't always somebody who was interested in joining tech. Like I was actually going to go into accounting and finance. I was in high school. I took an entire
mm,
pathway for 3 years. Took accounting one when I was a sophomore, so I was like really, really into it. And I would honestly consider getting into cybersecurity as an accident, as I was just placed in the program.
oh
But
wow.
as far as like CompTIA certification advice, so I would say it's pretty much memorization. So of course, Professor Messer, that's a big one. So what I did for me,
Mm,
what worked personally for me with retaining the information, I just pretty much watched every single video, wrote everything down, and only did it one time. And after that one time, I just took any practice exam I could find, whether it was YouTube, the Professor Messer study groups, which help a lot. But it's
mm.
really just about how you retain information.
Wow, no, and that's cool because yeah, from what I've been seeing, as it was really like a memory thing. You just got to memorize all these different acronyms. They got like 100 plus acronyms, brother. Like it's ridiculous. Even last night, I was doing a practice test with my team, and we still found acronyms that we never heard of. No, we've been like looking at this stuff for weeks, but there's always more acronyms in tech. Definitely. And you said you got an interview at CompTIA. How did that happen, or how did that go?
Oh, that's a good question. So the STEM program I'm in is called Grace and Technical Education. So we're based out of Gwinnett County, Georgia, and
Hmm.
with that, we're kind of partnered with CompTIA in a way. So I actually got to take my
Um,
Security Plus for free, so I didn't have to really pay for any of the certifications in the program. I was
yeah.
sponsored to go to competitions at Lockheed Martin, Cyber Patriot, and a few other
Wow.
CTFs I competed in. Yeah, so upon
Wow.
passing my CompTIA Security Plus in high school, I pretty much was reached out to by my teacher, and they said they wanted to do kind of an interview that would be played at their partner summit in Atlanta last year. So about two
Mm.
months later, I went on to a studio in Atlanta and got to record the interview and to share a little bit about myself, my story, things I did to pass it, and it was then played at the conference.
Wow, that's huge. And this is what helps about being a part of different like organizations or schools or colleges or like boot camps. They give you access to stuff that not to say you can't get access to on your own, but it's a lot easier to get access to this stuff when you're with a well-known school or business or organization. So that's like definitely huge. And I was looking at your LinkedIn and it seems that you had like a lot of different internships. So like for people who are just starting in tech, I feel personally like it's not as like none of it is easy. I'll never tell anyone it's easy, but I'll say an easier path is going for the internships, the apprenticeships, the boot camps. I think like those things are a bit easier to get into than like an actual like full time gig, right? So from your experience, how have you gotten all these internships, or like what is your advice for people just getting in the cyber industry and getting these different internships?
That's a good question. So I only have one internship. So my current internship is incident response on State Farm. But when you
Mm,
look at internships, I feel like being in college, like we're automatically at an advantage because these are where these big companies, go to the huge career fairs, which I'm not a
mm,
fan of, honestly. But it's
mm,
it's different. It's different. So for me being in college, coming into college, so I was only a freshman. So being a freshman and so young, like I was automatically disqualified from a lot of things, getting rejection email after rejection email, and it honestly came to a point where I was
mm,
taking out my classification on my elevator pitch, so I could actually build a connection with somebody. But when it
mm,
comes to landing internships, well, specifically for college students, I feel like the biggest thing is creating a network early. So I feel like creating that network
Mm,
early will genuinely like set you apart, and also finding like a mentor. Like I feel like that's probably been the biggest thing for me that led to me getting internships is having mentors, and I have too many to count honestly that will kind of help me believe in me
Agreeable.
and like yeah keep me motivated. But yeah, mentorship's a huge part. Then also just being involved in a lot. So I'm actually currently the president of our ISSA student chapter. I'm the vice president of our
Mm,
security club. So
wow.
having those two experiences have definitely driven me to also land more internships because a lot of these companies and a lot of interviews I've done, they oftentimes ask about leadership positions. And not only do they
Mm,
ask about that, being in those leadership positions give you stories to tell during your interviews. So I feel like those are the big things. And then another thing I would say that helps land those internships is being technical, but at the end of the day, these companies hire who they like. So I wouldn't really rely on that technical ability too much. I would just try to turn the interview into a conversation. And that's what I tend to tell people a lot.
mm. No, I definitely second that. I definitely agree with that because having those leadership skills and having those team building skills, even outside of tech, just in like the life, even outside of work, just in life in general, it definitely puts you in the front of a lot of things, right? Because would you rather pick a guy who knows how to program, right? He knows how to program C, Rust, or Java, like he's a programming master, or whatever, right? But he doesn't know how to speak to people. Or would you rather hire the guy who's like knows a little bit of programming, but he can lead like 20 people? Of course, you're gonna hire the guy that can lead like 20 people because he's like a leader. So you definitely have a lot of value being a part of these clubs and like leadership and like just being in leadership in general. And so how do you? I remember seeing this clip last year. I forgot. I think it was some like conference for computer science students, and I think it was for Hispanic computer science students. I forgot the event's name, but I remember seeing clips, and it was really like thousands of like college students trying to get an interview with these companies, and they're waiting in line for like 2 3 hours, right? So how do you stand out? Because the C, well, just well, the first thing I want to ask, well, like, what is your major and what is your degree? Because I feel like that changes it a bit. But I know for a lot of the computer science, it's like so there's so much people in the computer science stuff, and it seems to be like a bit. At least when I was looking at it, it seemed to be a bit overwhelming. Even when I was in Florida, I visited a lot of colleges, and I had I would speak to these students, right? And it's like I asked them, oh, like what are they teaching you? Like they're really not to say they aren't learning, right? Because I feel like it depends on your college. But the students I was speaking to, they weren't even taught like any programming, anything at all. And then not to say you have to be like a programming master, but at least know like something. But she was like, no, bro, our teacher doesn't even teach us stuff. We literally have to go outside of our classroom to learn anything technical. So I'm like, well, what are y'all like teaching them then? Like, what are they doing all the time? But yeah,
Mm.
from your experience, how do you stand out, and how do you like go through this quandary of like wanting to gain these technical skills, but wanting also to get leadership? Like, how do you stand out in the midst of all of that?
So that's a good question. So I actually know exactly what clip you're talking about from all those computer science students rushing. Yeah, it's a lot. So currently I'm a
Yeah.
computer information systems major with a concentration in
Okay.
cyber. So that's more like
Okay. Cool.
business side. So I have to take like accounting, business analysis classes like that.
I see.
But as far as like standing out from other students, I feel like a lot of people they make their elevator pitch and they just like use it as a script to talk to these recruiters once they get to the front of the line. But I feel
Mm,
like you genuinely have to like build connections because at the end of the day, like
connections.
these are
Yeah.
people first. It's like building a genuine connection with somebody will honestly take you a long way. And that's honestly funny. You mentioned that about colleges not teaching much because unless you're like at a target school or like one of those big colleges, a lot of this
Mm,
stuff is going to be mostly theory. So like it's
mm,
kind of sucks. So I'm actually in a position where I've never even taken a college like cybersecurity course. So up to this point, it's
yeah.
been yeah. So it's been defense competitions, CTS like National Cyber League, then just
Mm,
any other small CTS I could find, honestly. But honestly,
mm,
I feel like even if your college does teach you stuff, I feel like you should always self study if you like truly
mm.
want to get ahead.
Yeah, yeah, no, like always, self study is major, and yeah, definitely kudos to you because I met Mark through like Blacks and Cyber. Actually, his funny thing is his mentor reached out to me on LinkedIn. He said, "Hey, I have someone I really think you should interview." Right, so this shows how having a community and that network helps so much because his mentor is also in Blacks and Cyber. So he's like, "Yeah, like interview my mentee." So I wanted to ask you a bit about that as well. But kudos to you for like actually searching things up, searching things to learn more and do more. Because I feel like a lot of people, even outside of the cyber, just in life in general, a lot of people they get to a certain point and they just do the bare minimum. They just only get the crumbs, the bare minimum. They just like are passing by. It's like, oh, I'm just here just to be here, right? But you actually seeking leadership. You're actually seeking groups. You're actually seeking like camps and all that stuff. It shows us your um just how adamant you are. So definitely kudos to you on that. And yeah, how did you learn about blacks in cyber? When did you join? Because I remember seeing you on the last cohort like a couple months ago. But how did you learn about blacks in cyber, and like how has been your experience so far?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So I actually found out about Blacks in Cyber the summer after I graduated high school. So I was just pretty much randomly scrolling through LinkedIn. I kept seeing their posts. So then I believe
LinkedIn,
I
yeah.
reached out to Chad and I asked him when
Well,
applications were
Chad,
open.
shout out to
Yeah,
Chad.
shout out to Chad. So I reached out to him. He said usually open around fall. So I went ahead and applied. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
able to get in and get paired with David.
Wow, that's so cool, man. That's so cool. It's beautiful. It's just hearing everyone's experience of getting here because it's kind of similar to me. I remember, like, literally remember, like last year. I think the year before last year, I saw Black and Cyber, and then they had a little. You know how we have our jackets, right? Like Black and I actually got to get one of those jackets. I'm still buying. I'm still buying one of those jackets. But I saw them on LinkedIn. News. They had Blacks and Cyber, and then they were at DEF CON. Then they had all these black people. I'm like, yo, this is so cool because I feel like that's something I always wish that like existed. And then when I found out it existed, I'm like, oh, this is lit. So it definitely has been a beautiful journey. So like far. So you're in college now, right? And so what is your like goal, right? Like what role or like title or what part of the cyber industry do you see yourself like mainly focusing in and wanting to get into?
That's a good question. So I'll give you the short answer. I really don't know. So I mean, I'm so new to the field, so I'm
Yeah.
kind of just learning something new every day. Like lately, I've been playing with a lot of ransomware, detonating in VMs.
Ooh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's been pretty cool to look at. I took my cloud practitioner and passed it this summer too, so
Let's
learning a little
go.
bit more
Yeah,
about the cloud services. But honestly, I feel like by senior year, I should have it figured out. Hopefully, but yeah,
yeah,
truthfully,
definitely.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, cyber is so broad and there's so much to study. So I kind of have to figure out which way I want to go. Like, do I want to go to something like development? Do I want to go cloud
Mm,
engineering? Do I want
yeah,
to stay on response, which is my current role?
yeah,
Like, it's so much to do.
yeah. Definitely, definitely, definitely. And I will enjoy the like enjoy the exploration because I feel like that's one.
Hmm.
All right, so usually this I don't think this is something that a lot of people would recommend, right? Because a lot of people recommend specialize, 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 specialize. You don't just do one thing, da, 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 right? But me, it just even outside of cyber, before cyber, I was into like front end stuff. Then I was looking into like blockchain. I was looking in like Linux, of course, a lot. So I was looking into different things, just exploring, right? And I feel like the more I explored, you kind of gotta like all right, so I'll use the example. Before you say you're going to live in a different city or a different state, right? People would
Hmm.
recommend you visit it first. And I feel like it's the same thing with jobs and like work. Before you say I'm going to be this, at least like visit it, talk to a couple people working that, because especially job titles and job roles, I feel like are different things. And that's something I learned the hard way. Like what a title is, it may sound fancy, but the day to day it might be different from what your title is. Like what you see on LinkedIn isn't always what people are doing like at work. So it's very important to just explore and enjoy that because I feel like it's interesting because at first I was like, oh, I mean, I wasted so much time studying front end stuff, or I wasted so much time studying blockchain stuff, but not really because even speaking about the ransomware, they're using crypto stuff to do the ransomware to people anyway, right?
Yeah,
So one thing about tech, it's all like cyclical. So I'll definitely say, especially if you have the time, like take the time out to explore because the more you experience, the more you will see like, oh, I do like this or I don't like that. So that's definitely beautiful. But yeah, you said you were studying ransomware, and actually, my friend just made a video of that like yesterday because ransomware stuff is really really interesting. But for those people who don't know, like just like let's just assume that people like just don't know what ransomware is. Like, what is ransomware? Like, how does it work? Like, what is the history of it? Yeah, give us a bit of info about the ransomware stuff.
yeah. So ransomware is essentially malware that will be on a computer, and pretty much a bad actor is demanding payment to get it off. So
Mm,
essentially, with ransomware, it's pretty interesting. This is what we're seeing a lot in like the healthcare industry and
yeah,
financial institutions.
yeah.
So it's a pretty big deal. And with me detonating these samples, it's kind of like an ongoing project. So I'll consider it a
Mm,
research project pretty much. So I'm just
mm,
detonating different samples, looking to see where the indicators are compromised, see if I can see
mm,
any processes running, looking at the source code to see if I can get the encryption keys. And honestly, I
mm.
want to get to a point where I'm able to reverse engineer these samples. So it'll
Oh,
definitely
yeah,
be
Lucy.
yeah,
Let's
it'll be an ongoing
go.
project for sure. But I definitely
That's
it's
cool.
super fun watching stuff break. Like I find a lot of
Yeah.
enjoyment in it.
Yeah, that's so cool. Especially when you said the reverse engineer stuff. Because I respect malware analysts and like reverse engineers like so much. Like even so much so like a couple nights ago I was like, well, a couple nights ago and a couple of months ago, like just on and off, I'll be studying like x86, 64 assembly language because you gotta like learn that if you want to disassemble like a program pretty much. So I'll be
Yeah,
studying that. And it's just like so interesting to see how it works on like a super deep level. And like is one of those things that's so niche that like I like it's funny because I feel like the very popular things in cyber, like even the shut up, I was at the gas station a couple nights ago and this brother stopped me. He was like, "Hey, we're like brother, what you do?" Like because he saw how I was just he's like, "Are you in business?" And I was telling him about cyber. He's like, "Oh, you're like a hacker? You can like hack like into people's stuff?" And I'm like, "Bruh, there's so
that's the
much in
cool one.
cyber." But in people's heads, that's what they think. But the reverse engineering stuff is definitely something that's pretty niche. And I wanted to ask as well, so what programs do you use? Is that like Joe's Sandbox or like what other things? And there's hybrid analysis. Like what
Yeah.
programs do you use? Or like I know there's Ghidra, Joe's
Mhm.
Sandbox. There's another one, but yeah, what programs are you using to do all this like malware analysis and like reverse engineer and like
Yeah.
look at the ransomware? So like what programs do you use to
Good
like do
question.
that?
Yeah, so being in response, so I do use Joe's Sandbox a lot. That's one I
Sweet.
do use, but honestly, I just load up VirtualBox and I have a Windows 10 VM, so I just detonate it on there and see if I can find
Wow.
anything. So I do like static analysis, seeing
Yeah.
what's changed, and then I look at the cool messages too that pop up. Like one has like a huge like flashing skull, another one has like crypto
Whoa.
addresses where I was able to trace back those on the Tor network. So yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it's a lot. It's pretty
Dang.
cool, and when it's gonna be ongoing for sure because I do want to get to a point where I'm able to reverse engineer, which is down the line. So yeah, it's pretty
Wow.
cool to look at.
That's so cool. Because I remember when I was at Seven Labs years ago, there was like a couple people in our cohort who were kind of like doing those things on the side, and they were just kind of showing us. Because to me, I always like to see the visual aspects. Like you were saying, like there's one that pops up a skull on your screen. Down, that's crazy. Like
Yeah,
imagine you do this on your
that
laptop.
one was
Like, I
interesting.
mean,
That one
so
was pretty
interesting.
interesting. So that
Yeah,
was the most recent one I did. So with
yeah.
that one, I pretty much detonated it, and I just noticed everything was running slow. So upon that discovery, it essentially just crashed the entire like virtual box. So then
Jeez.
once I loaded it, yeah, once I loaded it back in, I essentially, yeah, it was just a huge flashing skull. Then it said press a key. Then it had the ransomware message, but like I couldn't get into the computer, so it was like pretty much everything was like blocked off. So I'm trying to
Wow.
look for a bypass for that now.
Ooh-wee. So, all right. So, two questions. First, so with VirtualBox, right? No, no. All right.
Mhm.
So, I'm gonna ask the first one. First, could you tell people how to be safe when doing this stuff? Because I'm like, we're speaking about this stuff, but this stuff could really like destroy people's computers. So, explain it. Like, how do you safely deal with these like malware and like ransomware stuff? Like, how do you say like explain the VirtualBox stuff and like
Yeah,
how does it actually like work? So people are not out here just kind of bricking their like laptops.
yeah, I've seen it happen before, but honestly, when it comes to detonating like ransomware, like you like genuinely have to know like what you're doing. So I would say like the first step is always make sure you're downloading those zip files in your actual VM because some
Mm,
people could accidentally download it to their host and unzip that file. Then yeah.
that's right.
But another one I would say is disconnect before detonating it. I'll say disconnect your VM from your host network.
Mm.
While it's a pretty low chance of the ransomware escaping, it's just best for safe practice.
Yeah, and that goes into my next question. So, is there like any examples of because like to me, I think the VirtualBox is pretty secure, but you were saying that it just like stopped responding. So I'm like, well, if it stopped responding, like, could it jump out the virtual machine onto your actual machine? Like, have there been cases of that? Is that like a thing or?
Yeah, people. Oh, definitely. So
Oh
honestly, with
wow,
some of these ransomware samples I've like looked at, when I trace back their Bitcoin addresses, I will see people. It was like one had like $500 from people like falling. I guess you could say victim to it because they couldn't get the decryption
wow,
key. So yeah, it's
wow.
definitely possible. So that's why I'm saying like if you're gonna do something like this, actually do
Yeah.
your research and kind of know.
Wow. But that's a trip. So yeah, like you're super deep into the cyber stuff clearly. But yeah, what do you like to do in your free time, Mark? Say you had like all right, so I'm gonna give you a scenario. Say you had a week, right? No
Mhm.
school, no classes, no bills, no family, no friends. It's just you, right? And someone gave you $100,000 for that week. What are you doing?
Ooh, that's a good question. Probably travel. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, that's probably one of the biggest things. My dream place to go is Italy, so I'll probably go there
Italy.
first. Yeah,
That's
probably go
cool.
to a few places in Europe. And honestly, I'm really a really big sports fan too. Like I love watching boxing.
Oh,
Huge boxing fan.
cool.
Huge UFC. Big
Wow.
NFL person. See, I'll probably go to a lot of that stuff. And honestly, I really like concerts too. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. For a week, I think that's what I would probably do.
No, that's like beautiful. Yeah, Italy. I was actually one of my one of my friends. She's Italian and Korean, and she has these like language exchange workshops on Saturday, no Thursdays. But she was telling me how like Italian and Spanish are kind of like so like similar because I'm still learning my Spanish. So yeah,
Mhm.
definitely traveling and learning those languages could help you a lot with the UFC and boxing stuff. I actually really would love to take a boxing because I feel like I'm a very like calm person, but I really enjoy fighting. Like if someone walked in here right now, I was like, "Hey, do you want to fight?" I'm like, "Yes." Like let's go. Like I'm with it. You know, like I'm with it. So I really would love to take a boxing as well. And there's a clip I'm gonna send you. Shout out to the ladies on the Stats on Stats podcast. She was actually interviewing this other lady who's in the whole martial MMA boxing type realm,
Mhm.
and they said that they were using AI as like a coach. I guess that they would have like a camera watching them practice, and then afterwards, she made this AI that would kind of give the boxers or the fighters recommendations on how to box better. And I'm like, bro, AI is everywhere. I never thought
Yeah,
people would be using AI to make their boxing better. But I got to send you that clip because I didn't watch the full episode, but that was really really interesting to me as well. But it's just interesting seeing how like even things outside of tech is now like their tech because everybody has integrated tech into the stuff they want anyway. You know, so this is
right.
that's quite interesting to see as well. Definitely.
Yeah, that you yeah. AI that like analyzes your workouts is crazy. Like I use AI to make workout plans for the gym, but having it
Wow.
actually watch you is insane.
I
That's
think yeah, because that's the only way it would work, right? How else would they give you? I gotta watch the full episode, but I think they watch it. Well, I'm not showing that, but I know she has AI that in general that helps people with the boxing and stuff. But I would think that they would have to see what you're doing to give you recommendations on it.
you're
I
right.
think, but yeah, I'm gonna send you that later. And yeah, tell me more about your time at State Farm because when I see this on your LinkedIn, I'm like State Farm, like everyone and their grandma knows like State like Farm, right? So how has your journey been there, and how did you even get in there?
Yeah, so State Farm has been a really good experience. So it was back in I believe January. So this is what I mean when I say you have to network. So back in school, I go to this organization called My Brothers Keepers, which is essentially a black uplifting org at GSU, and State Farm
Mm.
actually happens to be a sponsor of that. So upon going to
Um,
that event, yeah, there was a State Farm people there, and I was able to chat with them. And then I think 2 weeks later they had an opening for InfoSec. So I went ahead
wow,
and applied, and yeah, got hired about 2 weeks later. But for that
wow,
internship, yeah, I had to. This was interesting too. I had to relocate all the way to Bloomington, Illinois. So
ooh,
yeah, it
wow,
was. Yeah, I never been to the Midwest. I just got out of school from downtown
wow.
Atlanta, and I had to go to somewhere. Yeah, pretty much I've never been or even heard of before State Farm. So it
Sheesh.
was pretty interesting. It was
Wow.
interesting, but I would say it was a good experience overall. I mean,
Yeah.
even though it was a small town compared, extremely small town compared to Atlanta,
Right.
it gave me different perspectives. Got to meet a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Got to meet. I even met the CEO of State Farm while I was there. So
Wow.
yeah, I met a bunch of people because that's their global headquarters. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, it was pretty
Oh,
cool. Though. I had a really good time out there. And
yeah.
currently, I'm actually going to be co-oping for them during the school year, working part time, doing response. So
10 out of 10, brother. I'm so happy for you. No, that's so cool because like right out of school, hey mom, I'm going to Illinois. She's like,
yeah,
what? You're going where? But that's so cool, though, brother. I'm happy for you because it really networking to help so much. You know, because like imagine if you're just like, this group program, I don't want to do this. I actually want because I'm really proud of you, especially because I know in like school and like college, there's some people who are like yourselves, like, oh, I want to learn, I want to travel, I want to go. But there's other people like, yeah, let's just go party, bro. Let's go to da. Like they just doing all this other stuff, you know. So instead of doing that, you're like, no, I'm actually going to focus on like expanding and traveling. So I really respect that because especially I feel like the younger people are like honestly, if I went like straight to college right after like high school, like most people did, I don't think. eh, I don't think
yeah,
I would have been because my life
it's
path
not
at the
for
time was
everybody.
like a bit more so partying and going out, you know. So that probably wouldn't have gone the best. But for you to like just like still have that focus, right? It's just a beautiful thing to see.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And another thing I say is like college, like it simply just isn't for everybody. And like, I
Yeah.
see it a lot. Like a lot of people in my school, they often wait till like junior year to like really start building a network,
Yeah.
trying to get internships, trying to get all these certifications. But a lot of times it's simply just too late. I feel like it's something you have to like start early and then continually to like build up. And
Yeah.
another thing with like my school, so like Georgia State, I'm not sure if you've been to Atlanta, but we're an open campus. So
Um,
like anybody could walk on, and it's like a big commuter school. So it's really, really easy to get distracted there, I will say.
mm, wow. And you tell me, so I love Atlanta. I'm from Philly, but every time I go to Atlanta, I love it because Atlanta. All right, so my parents are from Haiti, right? So I've been to Haiti like three times, right? Haiti is just all like Haitian people, right? It's just all black people there. But then Atlanta, outside of Haiti, Atlanta is like the blackest place I've ever been to. Like I'm from Philly, so just black people in Philly, right? But in
Mhm.
Atlanta, I remember I was on a train, and literally every single person on the entire train was black. I'm like, this is heaven. Like this is
Yeah.
heaven. So I love ATL every time I go. But yeah, tell me more about your experience there and like how is the tech space there? Because I think you guys have Render ATL. You guys probably have a slew of other events as well. But just how is the tech scene and ATL?
But yeah, it's huge. So yeah, we do have Render ATL. That's a big one. Then we do have, I believe, B sides. Then we
Mm.
have our ISSA chapters. We have ISOCA, ISC
Wow.
Square.
See?
It's so
Yeah.
many, so many. It's like the black tech scene itself is huge. Like I've
Yeah.
met so many people. Yeah,
Wow. Well, that's beautiful. I'm definitely excited to because I just skimmed Atlanta a couple of weeks ago because I was at my friend's farm in Moultrie, Georgia a couple weeks ago. I was there for like 2 weeks or whatever. And so I was close to Atlanta, but then I had to pivot over here. And I always love visiting there. So I know you spoke about Italy, right? You wanted to like visit Italy, but what other countries do you see yourself visiting as well?
that's a good question. So I definitely have to go to Paris, even though I hear mixed opinions about it. So I have to go there.
Mm.
I would say Japan would be a cool trip.
Oh, konnichiwa, let's
Yeah,
go.
and maybe somewhere like South America.
Yo, yes, muy bien.
That would be
Yeah,
pretty
muy
cool.
bien.
Hmm.
America is muy bonita. And I'll definitely recommend Ecuador because I'm like biased because I've been to Ecuador. No, actually, Colombia. Actually, Colombia. Colombia, I feel like is a good. So I love Ecuador, but I feel like if you want like more like if you want more large city type vibes,
Yeah,
Colombia could definitely offer that a bit more because they have like huge cities, like almost
yeah,
like New York, pretty much. So if you want like a huge like business city s vibes, Colombia. But if you want just more like low key like chill vibes, Ecuador, um, definitely, definitely. And do you know yeah, so I know you're in cyber. I think you were saying before you TR said this is why I'm gonna ask you. I was remember messaging you before and I was asking about the programming languages, but you do say you want to be a reverse engineer, my guy, or like you want to learn it at
I'm gonna
least,
have to
right?
learn
So
eventually. Yeah,
yeah, so what like languages are you looking to learn? Because with
yeah.
reverse engineering, from what I know, you basically have to know assembly language and you have to know C, right? Because those are like really like lower level stuff. But yeah, so what languages are on your list? Like yeah, be like sides those lower level stuff. What other languages are on your list?
So definitely starting off with Python. Then maybe you
Yeah,
might look into C,
yeah,
maybe assembly, and then maybe learn some SQL or even KQL, which is Microsoft version of it.
yeah.
So
KQ, I've used that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's cool. And definitely shout out to Blacks and Cyber. And there's I forgot the name of it, but there's like a black owned CTF. It's called K. Do you remember the name of it?
is it like this KC7?
KC7. Shout out to KC7, like the black owned CTF because I remember in the last cohort they had us using KQL, which from what I know is like a Microsoft version of SQL. Because I remember it looks so similar to Sentinel-1, and then that is when they were telling me like Sentinel-1 is basically Microsoft, and I'm like, oh okay, so it's like they're all in kind of the same group. So no, that's definitely a good place to start. What's what's something that surprises you about the cyber industry for like the little bit that you've been like learning? Because like I know like me and you both are pretty much new to the space, but
Hmm.
what is one thing that you thought be like beforehand that when you're getting deeper into the industry, you're seeing, oh, this is actually quite different.
Yeah. So honestly, I'll relate this back to my internship. As we know, like cybersecurity is like a super, super broad term. But after
Mm.
like going into a department of over 500 people in
Ooh,
cybersecurity,
Whew.
Like you really see how broad that term is. Like there's so many teams, so many different things to do, whether it's
Yeah,
consulting,
yeah.
cloud. Like it's just so much, and it's overwhelming to even like skim through every single thing. But
Jeez.
I found it pretty cool. It's like I feel like there's genuinely like something for everybody in cybersecurity, and that's like one thing I love about the field.
Mm. You know, that's like, yeah, because being on the team of like 500 cybersecurity, that's
Yeah,
so like just even that statement alone. Because I feel like from the outside in, like people are like, oh, you're a hacker. No, no,
yeah,
no. So I'm gonna tell you, team homicides. When I tell people I'm in cyber, it's either they think I'm a hacker or they are telling me to be their IT help desk guy. Like, oh, my server rack isn't, or my like router isn't working. I'm like, bro, I'm not IT support. I mean, I could help you, right? Because I know I like know that stuff, but that's not my specific role. But it's either think I'm like a programmer, hacker, or I'm like the IT help desk guy. So it's interesting, like it's interesting the perception of things from outside versus inside, and also not only with roles but companies as well. This is something like I'm learning. It's something like new I'm learning like this week. Like the way that a company looks and functions inside is sometimes different to how it looks and functions outside. Like they could have a great reputation outside and be a horrible company inside, or they could be a horrible company inside and have a great reputation. I mean, vice like ver- versa. So that's why I feel like it's really important to like actually speak to people. Like, what do you actually do? Like, what is your like
yeah.
day to day, right? So I know you're in college now, but what does your day to day look like? I know you're speaking about the gym and like fitness a bit
Mhm.
earlier, but what does your day to day look like when you wake up and then to the time that you sleep?
Yeah, so it changes every day. So
Mhm.
I'm actually getting ready to move in next week. So this semester,
Mhm.
my schedule somewhat free. So I actually have a lot of time to do more of my own thing, whether it's self studying and doing my
Sweet,
co-op with State Farm.
sweet.
But honestly, when it comes to college, I feel like keeping yourself busy is like one of the main things to like truly get value out of it. So
Mhm.
usually that's why honestly I took on a leadership role. So like being president of an org, it, it's a lot of responsibility. So like, I'm constantly having to plan for events,
Mhm.
reach out to the executive board. And honestly, this is something I do pretty much every week. I just share resources in our Discord channel just for people
Yeah.
to like look at and learn. Job posts is pretty much everything. So
Wow.
I feel like yeah, it definitely keeps me busy. It's a lot, especially since we reinstated it this year. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's a pretty good experience though.
Wow. Yeah, that's so like, and it's so crazy because like you're doing that. It's almost like you're like a manager of a company. Like in my head, like the stuff you're doing, it sounds like stuff that like managers be doing, you know. But it's so cool that you're getting that experience even outside of work. You're kind of doing that. And I feel like that's something
Mhm.
I feel like sometimes people may overlook themselves, or even hiring managers may overlook because our resumes and what we like. I feel like it could go either way. Sometimes I think usually people over like exaggerate the resume, and in actual reality they're not doing as much. But vice versa, I feel like me and you probably have this. We're like the stuff that we're actually doing on our day to day probably doesn't even reflect on our resume or LinkedIn's, you know. But we're in actual
Mhm.
life, we're actually doing a lot of stuff, you know. So it's cool
Yeah.
that you have that. So I got to take my own advice, but I'm giving you this advice as well. Just make sure you're documenting all of this stuff because when
Yeah.
you're applying for jobs and it's like, oh, what is your experience? It'd be good if you have like a picture or like a
Mhm.
video or like a blog post of like, oh yeah, in school I did these 50 events and we had these 50 different companies. Like that stuff that actually is very valuable. So just make sure you keep track of that stuff. And me as well, I have to just make sure I document the stuff more because I feel like a lot of times, and that's why I love this podcast, because this is something 10 years down the line, I could share this with
Right.
like my kids, coworkers, whoever the heck, you know? So just keeping track of the stuff so the world could see, oh, they've done great things, you know, they're doing great things.
Right.
So that's definitely beautiful. And
Yeah. Personal branding is a pretty large thing. Like one of my
yeah.
mentors at Lockheed Martin named Audi Muhammad, he's pretty big on that stuff. So I
Mm,
try to, post my wins, small ones, big ones. It doesn't
yeah.
matter. I feel like having that personal brand and reputation has taken me
Mm,
a long way.
mm. Yeah, the personal branding stuff, I I speak about it very often, but I'm realizing it's even deeper than I thought. Because I saw this post yesterday. The lady was like, "Oh, I met my husband on LinkedIn." I was like, "Wait, slow down, slow down. What are you, what are you talking about?" Because usually when people speak about that stuff, they talk about like Instagram or Facebook, right? But then she's like, the guy reached out on LinkedIn, and then they went on like a business trip, and then they started to travel, and now they've been married for like 3 years and have been traveling the world 18 months straight. And I'm like, what escalated so quick? But it helps in general, right? If you're starting a business, the personal branding helps. If you're starting a career, the personal branding helps. If you're even in like the love life stuff, that helps as well, you know, because like once people see you, is like, and if you show actually things that you actually love, because that I think that's the thing. Showing things you actually love. Like if you're showing
Right.
things, if you love yoga, sharing yoga, you meet someone who's into yoga, right? If you love
Exactly.
like me, you love fruit, you share fruit. You meet other people who are into fruit. You
You
share
have to
exercise. You share exercise. You meet people who are into that. So it helps a lot, definitely.
I feel like you have to connect with those people on like a personal level rather than
Yeah.
professional. Like building like
Mm.
that genuine connection with somebody will like take you a long way for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll definitely take you a very, very long way. And kind of going back to what you were saying earlier as well. You're saying like a lot of these college students just have their elevator pitches, and they just kind of pitch it really quick to the recruiter. And this is something then in business and life, I feel like is very backwards.
Hmm.
People are not to say people are leeches, for lack
Yeah.
of better words. I feel like people have to be able to share and give because every time I like this is just like a principle of like even outside, like this life, right? If you want to receive, you have to give, right? Of course, there's a balance of both because the other end, don't let yourself be abused and used. But if I
Hmm.
see someone I find really valuable, example, right? I'll give a little example. So if people like it, so I feel like it's funny. I feel like dating and business they're not usually aligned, but I feel like in a lot of senses, I feel like these principles overlap. So say if you're a woman, right,
Right.
and you like a guy, right,
Mhm.
and you probably will buy him like sneakers. You probably buy him, or you see that he likes whatever. You see that he likes yoga, so you buy a yoga mat, right? Or if you're a guy and you see a girl, she likes um meditation, or like if she likes herbs, you get her some herbs, right? So usually people give people gifts, right? Things that if they know that a person finds valuable, right? Just if they want to get closer to them. But I'm like, why is it not the same thing in like I feel like this principle translates to business as well. You know, if you know someone who's into this part of cyber tech, like and you see a video like speaking about ransomware. Oh, yeah, I was thinking about you. Like, here's a video about ransomware. Da, 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 right? Just even
Yeah.
those small things. Just even send them a link, a resource, a meme. It doesn't. You don't got to spend $1,000 to try and impress somebody. But send these small things just to build an actual connection. Because even
Right.
me, it's so funny, bro. On LinkedIn, especially, I feel like since I'm becoming like I guess a public figure, people
Mhm.
really think I can do magic, right? But people reach out to me as if I'm the recruiter. They're like, "Hey, I see the stuff you're
Yeah.
doing. Can you find me a job?" I'm like, "Bruh, I'm just trying to find a job myself."
Yeah.
So
That's
it's just
something I get
funny.
now too with
Yeah.
like
Plus,
people asking me
yeah,
questions about like the internships.
yeah,
Like I like recruiters.
mm,
Like I've been on both sides of the spectrum. Actually, just yesterday I was at a conference in Atlanta
mm,
representing State Farm. Talking to people about the internships. It's like
mm,
I know what it's like being a recruiter from both
yeah, yeah,
perspectives. And honestly, I'll say being a recruiter is tough, more tough than my job because like you have to talk
yeah.
to people all day, collect
Wow.
resumes. So it's an
Jeez.
interesting job and it requires a lot of like mental like stamina, I guess you could say.
Wow. Yeah, a lot of mental stamina. Yeah, being on the because I feel like people who are looking for jobs, they often complain, but they don't, oftentimes don't think about the other side, like the business side of things. And I feel like that's why it's helps you to get advice from people who are on the business side, just to kind of because I feel like people think like their worldview is the world, but like, or they think, oh, these businesses are so mean, or these recruiters are so mean, da 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 da. Da. But like, not always, bro. Like, actually, it's a hard job. It's not like the easiest thing to do, you know. The thinking, like, even me, I'm not a real like recruiter, but people message me like every day on LinkedIn, right? And
Hmm.
imagine that, but like every single day. Imagine you get like 100 DMs straight to you every single day, and they're asking you for like jobs. How do you even process that, bro? You can't process it all,
Yeah.
you know. So I feel like people be mad, but they have to have grace and see things from the other side as well. But yeah, to close what I was speaking about before, be willing to like share, you know, like build actual connections, right? Even
Hmm.
let
And
me
they
give
have
this
to like you to
example.
hire you. So
Yeah, yeah, like it's really like it might seem what do you call it nepotism, but I don't think always nepotism is necessarily always a bad thing. People like in work, you don't want to be with someone who's like mad and like angry and like da, da, da. You
hmm
don't you want to be with someone you actually enjoy, even if it's work. You want to work with people who you actually find like oh they're cool, like they're interesting. I like speaking to them. So that's life in general, even outside of like business. So those are definitely the people skills are definitely important. The technical skills are definitely important And just having a balance of both of them is like paramount, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like nepotism is definitely a big thing. I haven't really had experience with it because, I'm a first generation college student. Like I have no family that works in
Mm,
tech. So outside of
mm,
like mentor help, I've kind
okay.
of been on my own pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah. I feel you, right? I definitely feel like that because it's pretty much the same with me. I genuinely, now that you bring it up, I don't think there's a single person in my family who's even tech related.
Yeah.
Like not even in a parallel industry like at all. So it's kind of like the same thing with me. I'm just kind of like this like just doing it solo dolo. But I'm gonna give this statistic. One of my teammates he put up a couple weeks ago. He was like
Mhm.
70% of jobs come from warm leads, and the other 30% is just like the code, just like applying to their website. And this is
Yeah.
why now, of course, I feel like both are important. Of course, make sure your resume is good, make sure your LinkedIn is good, of course. But now I'm trying to. I think going the other route might help me. Like the warm leads, just like reaching out to people, having
Mhm.
meetings with people. As an example, I'm gradually learning, trying to get more into the corporate Linux side, right? So
Yeah.
I had one of my coworkers. I was telling him about that, and then he linked me with this software engineer at Red Hat, right? So I had like a literally like an hour talk, just like an hour talk, and he was talking about the different programs and the different languages he's learning. So that I feel like is getting me a bit closer to that reality, right? Because I'm speaking to people who work at the organization who's going to certify me, right? So just like actually reaching out to people and just saying, just telling people what you want as well. And I think this is something that you do have to be hmm, aware of how you do it, right? Because like some people at work, they were like, "Hey, like you got to act like you're going to be here for 10 years. You got to act like you're with this
Yeah.
company forever. You got to act like that." But me, I can't even act like that. Honestly, like yeah, I talk to my manager. I'm like, bro, I'm going to do this, right? I'm going to help you guys out with this, but no, I'm going here. I tell everybody the same story. I can't be the type of person in like at home. I'm saying this one thing, but then at work, I'm acting like, oh yeah, like no, like I love this, right? I'm going to help you out with everything, but also I'm going here, right? And I feel like it might seem a bit brash up front,
Mhm.
right? Because it is, but I feel like it's more peaceful on the other side. Because I feel like
Yeah.
some people they just act very meek and shy, and then they have these like goals, right? That they don't like. It's so intricate, but you just have to be very careful how you do it. But just being open and saying, "Hey, I went to go here." Like you were speaking about the ransomware stuff. So now people might see this video, talk to you about like ransomware. So like the stuff you share, people will ask you about. So definitely being open to share the stuff you know as well. But besides the ransomware stuff, like what other things are interesting you in this episode? And also, I want you to speak about the AWS cloud
Practitioner.
practitioner as well, because I was studying for that too. Yeah, so just like if you could speak on the cloud and like other things in cyber that like interest you.
Yeah, so definitely cloud is another one that interests me. I actually recently got a book about GRC engineering for AWS by AJ Yon. It was
Ooh,
actually gifted to me by one of my
see,
mentors. So
yeah.
yeah, definitely looking forward to dive into that book. But I would say besides the cloud, maybe cloud pen testing if I want to get like super specific into that realm. Yeah. It's a pretty interesting. I know SANS has a cloud pen testing service, so maybe make that like my end goal for college. I don't know. And that's another thing too.
Mm,
Given that I'm in college or like anyone in cyber's in college, like we're automatically at an advantage. I
mm,
mean, because we're in a situation
definitely.
where we don't have to get 7 or 8 certs to get a job. Like we could probably get a security plus and maybe like a few other certs and be fine and get some
Yeah.
internships. But I would say always like continuing to like develop yourself, not just from a technical standpoint, but like from like a professional and personal standpoint.
Mm,
Like that's a big thing. When it came to the AWS Cloud Practitioner, it's similar to the Security Plus as far as like it's not acronyms, but it's academic. So
okay.
it's really just about how you retain that information. But
Yeah.
one thing with the Cloud Practitioner is that you only need a 70% to pass it, which is lower
Mm.
than the Security Plus is 85. So
Oh, okay.
yes,
I
it
see.
was
I see.
significantly easier. It took me about a week to study for that one, and the Security Plus took about 2.5 weeks. So
Oh, okay. Okay,
yeah,
no, I see. I see. I see. Because the cloud stuff is interesting. It's interesting. You said cloud penetration testing. Like this is the thing that's going to always infinitely fascinate me about tech. It's like things really overlap. Like because at first, right, those things like sound different. Oh, like I'm a cloud architect. Oh, I'm a penetration tester. but the penetration tester is penetrating the cloud. So it's like you actually both of these things kind of flow into each other. So that's very, very yeah. Because you and one other guy I heard speak about that. You probably know Tyler something, the guy that does the hack smarter stuff.
Yeah,
He was
I know
speaking
what
about
you're
that
talking
as well. Yeah. So that's quite interesting. Yeah, because I feel like it's important to just be. It's cool that you could just explore. You know, it's cool that you could just actually explore. Because the thing is, the cloud is not new, but in a sense, it is new, right? Because it's not as much people are on it, right? Like
about.
I mean, a lot of people like I don't know explain it. A lot of people are on it, but there's still a lot of space for more people to get in it. Is what I'm saying, right? And the penetration system, that's like I would say that's our like not mascot in cyber, but that's like the role that everyone like, oh my god, penetration tester, that's like the role that everyone dreams about, you know.
Yeah,
So
I
it's
know
still
that's
like one
like
of the
it.
most sought out roles in cyber, and then this new thing like cloud is kind of making it like modern and it's like new and fresh. You know, and that's so cool to see those as blend together actually.
Yeah, so I feel like cloud is definitely the future. I know. I feel like having knowledge of either AWS, Azure,
Yeah,
GCP, and I think even Oracle offers cloud
yeah,
services. So
yeah,
I feel like having some knowledge of cloud is pretty much like a prereq for cyber. Same thing with
wow,
networking at this point.
yeah,
So
yeah. No, I definitely agree on that. What are your views on Linux, right? Because I remember I was in a practice for the cloud practitioner, and then they had me with this AWS EC2 instance, and
mhm,
then they made me boot an Amazon Linux server, and I was like, "What?" Like generally, bro, when I
yeah,
first heard Amazon Linux, I'm like, "This can't be true. This is a lie." Like I'm like, because Amazon and Linux is almost like opposite forces in a sense, right? So it sounded pretty crazy to me. But Amazon does leverage like Linux in just general. You know, a lot of their servers are running like Amazon Linux or Red Hat, like Enterprise Linux or Ubuntu or SUSE or whatever the heck, right? So what are your views on Linux as well? Because I know that that's a huge part of like
yeah.
the cloud.
Linux, like I said, same with cloud. I feel like it's also like one of those prereqs. As like a lot of that cloud stuff, it all runs off like Linux servers. So I feel like it's one of those things like you just kind of have to know. Like with my
Mm.
journey with Linux, so I actually have a Windows subsystem Linux on my laptop. So that's what I
Cool.
use when I'm like self studying. So I just download the tools, whatever I want to look into, and just do it right on my terminal instead of running a VM. So like having that experience on WSL has helped me a lot because I got had to troubleshoot a lot. So yeah, I feel like that pretty much taught me my foundations of Linux up to this point.
Wow. No,
Yeah.
that's like beautiful. Because now I'm like a Linux like advocate. I'm like a Linux like devotee pretty much. Like Linux is like on my thing. So I definitely would recommend that as like because I honestly think it is in the sense of a prereq. Because I feel like regardless of where you go in tech, you're gonna have to cross that like river, bro. You're gonna have like Linux comes either way, you know? And yeah, so cloud oh, this is a question because we know we're in 2025 and this year it's been AI, everyone and their grandma is on AI, right? So
Yeah.
what are your views on AI in like general?
Oh, it's definitely the future. So
Mm,
with I feel like it won't necessarily hurt the cyberspace, but only benefit it because with a lot of companies using AI in their, whether it's a tool, whether it's just their daily process, it just creates more of like a threat landscape. So I
mm,
feel like when it comes to cybersecurity, when companies are putting this stuff in their, their day to day, it's just creating more risk. But honestly, this was something I was talking about with my manager a few weeks ago. So, automation, that's a big thing. If you can automate stuff, you automatically make yourself more valuable to a company. But down the
mm,
line with incident response, you can automate certain tasks, but how can you implement AI to potentially assess, risk in some of these, alerts that are
mm,
triggering? So when you look at it from a response standpoint with AI, can we use machine learning to close tickets to detect if something's acceptable, false, or if this is an actual threat? Stuff like it would be
mm.
definitely interesting in the next year, probably even sooner than that at this point.
Wow. Yeah, it's interesting, but and the thing you said during the beginning, I want to kind of debate you on this a little bit. So you said it's only going to benefit, but I've seen AI be used for really malicious. Like example, I remember one of the craziest ones I heard so far. This they used AI to get this girl's voice, and then they copied her voice, and then sent a message to her mom. as
Mm.
if she was like captured or in distress, and they were trying to do like a payment thing or something like that. So what do you think about the malicious people using AI?
Oh yeah, from a job standpoint for cyber, it's gonna, I guess you say, help, but it's
Yeah.
also like super malicious, especially like deep fake people posting fake content online, impersonating people. You can use them to write phishing emails. Some of the ways like I've used AI, like for NCL competition, for example, I was able to, use ChatGPT to crack hashes, multi-step hashes. So using it in that way is pretty beneficial. But yeah, it's a lot of ways it can be used, honestly.
Mm. It's definitely a lot of ways it could go, and I think those are one of the things I feel like is becoming a prereq as well, because like every like even like I got this phone a couple weeks ago to because I was traveling or whatever, and I need to Google Maps, and I have a Moto G Power or whatever. I
Yeah,
didn't know. No one told me when I bought this. Like Copilot is literally integrated into like my phone. Like if I press the power button twice, literally Copilot pops up, and I'm like, bro, like what? Like I didn't even sound like it. I was so confused, right? So AI is literally being embedded into into like everything now, pretty much. So I
yeah,
think it's something that's a prereq as well. So
hmm
yeah, AI people should definitely look into that.
yeah. It's interesting. It's gonna be really interesting. Like I said, it creates more threat in the cyberspace, but at the same time, like it makes everyone's jobs easier. So,
Hmm.
like having at least a fundamental understanding of how AI works is super important.
Yeah, yeah, the fundamentals are definitely
Mhm.
important. So what other things? All right, so say someone is totally out the tech industry, right? They've never even touched the keyboard, let's say, right? They're like they were farming their whole life, right? And they're
Yeah.
just trying to just get into tech. What would you recommend, especially for like a cyber? Say they want to be, let's just go for um SOC analyst, right? Or like
Yeah.
penetration testers, like the really popular roles, right?
Mhm.
What advice would you give people? Like, what do you think is the quickest way? Like, if they needed to get a job like next week, right? Well, let's give them time. Say they wanted to get a job next month, right? What
Mhm.
would you recommend them on that month journey? Like, what websites or what certifications or what like links? Like, what would you recommend them?
Yeah, that's a good question. So for starters, a lot of people consider cyber not entry level. So with
True.
yeah,
That's a
by
fact.
that I mean like you don't necessarily have to have an IT job before, but you have to have IT understanding, network understanding, and
Mm,
just how systems work as a whole. But to start, I would say learn the foundations of networking just by YouTube. Maybe take some like a Network Plus, or if you really want to get your hands dirty, go for a CCNA. Then also, I would say get your Security Plus ads. When you get that Security Plus, you can pretty much move to anywhere. And also, if you want to do like government work, I know
mm,
it'd probably be required, but I'll say that would be a good start. But aside from like building like those technical skills, I would say you just simply have to have the right mindset. Like it's simply
mm.
more than just about money. Like you actually have to like love what you're doing, unless you're just gonna burn out in this field.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, the Sec Plus. I'm working on that now, so I'm definitely I'm proud of you for getting it as well, because like from what I know, it's kind of like one of the first like premier like cyber certifications. So I definitely recommend that as well. You were saying that you had like a lot of people were like we like sharing this on your like LinkedIn
Mhm.
as well. So who are some people like you want to give like shout outs to, whether it be like mentors,
Yeah.
classmates, role models, like best friends? There's people you want to give a shout out to in general, or people you think will be good for a future interview on like this podcast as well.
Yeah, it's so many people. Like it's so many. Like I have a rich amount of mentors, thank God. But yeah, shout out to my mentor David Ray from
Mm.
BIC. He's helped me a lot throughout this journey. Abdi Muhammad, who I actually met in high school when I competed at Lockheed Martin.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's so many. Shout out to Emron. He's intern at CrowdStrike. He's helped me a lot as I came
Oh,
into
sweet.
college. It's so many people. Shout out to Mike Beck. He spoke on Big. I had a meeting with him a few weeks ago. But yeah, it's so
Mm.
many people to shout out. I'm extremely grateful.
No, that's beautiful. And I feel like yeah, gratitude is a good space to be in, because even on my journey, like the whole thing of like self-taught, I don't think that's a proper, because I feel like majority of my journey I said I was self-taught, but I think I was taught in a non-traditional way, right? Just because I didn't go into classroom. That doesn't mean I didn't watch like 100 hours of this guy on like YouTube who was like my teacher, you know. So like there's a lot of people we could give credit to and gratitude to, because I feel like that's the beautiful thing about modern day too. Well, it's a beauty and a curse, right? Because we have so much like access, right, and so much boot camps, videos, courses, blah blah blah. Where it's beautiful, but it's overwhelming, right? Because now people don't know what actually to pick because there's like 1,001 things to pick. And then 30 years ago was the opposite thing, right? You only had like one book. Like you only had like this one book, this one teacher at this one college who could maybe have time to teach you this one thing, right? Right. But now we have access to all these different things that just make it a lot easier on us. So I feel like that's very beautiful as well. So what are your like future projects? I know you're in school now. You're still kind of figuring out like where you want to go in cyber, but for like this year at least, what are some of your like immediate goals?
It's a good question. So I actually do want to get some hardware. So like servers,
Oh,
switches,
cool. Yeah.
yeah, like a little bit of everything. And I feel like breaking it at like a system level would help my learning. But
Mm.
yeah, I'll say the next step for me is just getting hardware, and simply just breaking stuff to kind of build some of my IT knowledge, networking knowledge. Yeah,
No, that is definitely beautiful because the hardware side is something I'm getting deeper into as well. Like even on, I remember one of my cohort members that that like Rishi Cyber Council, Derek Shaw, Derek. But he was making fun of me because on my YouTube, like one of my first videos, I have like these 12 laptops over here, and like they're ancient, like they're laptops from like 2005, like they're like laptops that still have their like the CD drives and all that. He's like, bit like I was so ashamed. He was like, I thought you would have these new like razor blade type stuff, and you bring out these like ancient laptops, and
yeah,
he was making fun of me. But there is value in that. I feel like people miss that. There is value in having hardware, right? Because with those laptops, I could run so much different servers, so much different programs, so much different programming languages. I feel like it shows you a different time and a different space. This is something I'm getting more passionate about as I speak about it. But just like the history of computing and like vintage tech, because I feel like people born modern day, they really don't understand, right? They really don't understand how much better we have it. Because I was even speaking to one of the instructors from John something. He was one of the last. He's one of the last instructors at CompTIA because CompTIA. I'm not sure if you know, but they got purchased by this other company, right? So they're kind of doing a restructuring. But he's one of the last teachers there, and I was speaking to him, and he was talking about like when they still had like punch cards, right? Before even like assembly, like before like C and JavaScript and all that stuff, they had like literally cards you had to put into the mainframe, and like literally, if one thing messed up, you had to put them all back in. So you would have like a huge stack.
yeah,
And people talk about like these people speak about Python as if it's like the hardest thing in the world. It is. I'm not gonna say programming is the easiest thing,
yeah.
but compared to like a stack of physical cards, it's a drastic difference. Even I was telling him about the first operating. Well, he was telling me about before he had one of the first versions of like MS DOS, like Microsoft this operating system, and he literally said it was like a 30 stacks of floppy disk, and you had to literally input every single floppy disk just for the like thing to run. And if one of them didn't work, you literally had to put like 20, 30 floppy disks into your system just for the operating system to boot, brother. Like even
Right.
before anything else. So the history of this stuff definitely fascinates me a lot. So that stuff is definitely things I'm gonna go a bit um deeper into.
Yeah, and
What
it's
else?
cheaper too. It's a really good cheap option for like conducting
Yes,
self learning. Because like my
yes.
first two certifications were test out one, so I have my network pro and my test out security pro. So I
Mm.
got those 2023. So yeah, those it was pretty much virtual. So I was virtually configuring switches, literally anything like IT, firewall rules. So now I kind of want to like take it step up, get some hardware in here, really like elevate my learning.
Yeah, because that's the home lab, brother. That was the original
Yeah.
home lab. It's like now we have the virtual home labs and virtual box. And you have this here and this here, but back in the day, you had to have an actual lab. Like we were like chemists, or like in that sense, where you had like actual things you had to tinker with and all that stuff. So that's definitely beautiful. But yeah, we're about to get to the time, but I just wanted you to share the last things, like share all of your social medias, all of your shout outs, the future things you're
Mhm.
working on, just like share everything that you're focused on.
Yeah, so if anybody wants to connect with me, they can connect with me, Mark Johnson Jr. on LinkedIn.
Mhm.
Very open for questions, one on ones, anything. If you need help with anything, just let me know.
Sweet. And
Yeah.
yeah, also I'll send it over to James, so he will add it to the YouTube